Hey guys, finally got around to watching Kevin Hart Let Me Explain. It's a movie that I basically rented earlier this week, and I finally got around to finally watching the whole thing. And that's not because the movie was bad or anything. Uh, it's basically because I've been really, really busy, especially today, and I've basically kind of got myself to finally watching the whole thing because I couldn't keep it any longer, or they're going to continue charging me more and more on Redbox. It ended up charging me $6 because of how long I kept it. It's kind of ridiculous, but and that's the fault of my own, not anybody else's. But anyways, um, this is a movie I that came to my movie theater like back in July for like nearly 2 weeks, if that, and after that, it disappeared. It never came to my cheap theater. And because of that, I had to wait until it came out on DVD, which it just did about like a couple weeks ago or so. And I've heard pretty good things about this movie going in. I heard it was pretty funny, and I'm also a pretty average Kevin Hart fan. I think he's a pretty good comedian. Every time I see him in a movie or a TV show, I think he's really funny and entertaining. Um, it is kind of funny to see like how he's gone from being a kind of small supporting comedic actor like he's been for a lot of years, and now over the last couple of years he's grown to become a big comedic star. Like, look at some of the comedies come out next year. A lot of them involve Kevin Hart in being in a starring role. That's pretty cool because I think the guy's really talented, and I'm glad to see somebody like him get a big chance like he has been. And I never got around to watching any of his stand-up comic specials until now. And I've heard good things, and I've heard that he's a really good stand-up comic, and I was really interested whether or not he was as good as everybody said he was. Sometimes that's not always the case, but I was hoping that this was the case with him, that he was a really good stand-up comic. And like I said, I was really looking forward to this movie or watching this movie, but also at the same time, I was also worried about doing a review for this movie because honestly, it's kind of hard to do a review for a stand-up comedy special because that's basically what it is, because it is the same length as normal comedy specials on something like HBO, but the difference between those and this one is that this one was released theatrically, and basically, this is what would happen if like something like George Carlin or somebody got a theatrical release, or Lewis Black or somebody like from got a theatrical release. This is what would happen. It would get the same length. But anyways, yeah, but yeah, I was kind of like, how the hell did this is probably gonna be one really short review because I don't know how much else I could talk about other than that it's either funny or it isn't. I'll probably tell you right off the bat, this will probably be a pretty short review. But anyways, what as far as the movie itself, what do I think of it? I think it was an alright flick. It's definitely worth a rental on Redbox. I definitely don't see this movie. Well, I don't see this movie as being deserving of a theatrical release, and deserving of a theatrical ticket, like a theater ticket, like especially at the price of movie theater tickets are nowadays. Um, but I found it like a pretty good rental, in my opinion. I thought it was an alright flick. It had some faults, which I'll get into, but I thought it was a pretty good stand-up comedy special, which basically, as I said, it is. I thought the stand-up for in the movie was probably the strongest part of this whole movie. Actually, it was the strongest whole part of the movie, which it did take up a majority of, which took up pretty much about, like, I would say, an hour of it. of the movie. Thank God. And from what this comedy special was, it was pretty funny. I like the bits about him lying to his girlfriend or his wife, trying to lie to his wife, and how he gets caught up in like his own lies. And he invented the word "deer, bruh," half deer, half zebra, which is pretty memorable. Or what's the God damn it, now I can't remember that stupid phrase. Or like him talking about his son, one or thinking he's Spider-Man. I like that part. The last bit about him horse riding with his kids, which is really funny. Or his, or the part where his I think it was his wife he was talking about, was he caught his wife spying on him in the trunk of his car, which was pretty amusing, and her trying to deny it even though he saw her in the trunk of his car. I mean, I don't want to ruin all the bits, but those are probably the more memorable ones. I like that. Also, I did like when he's talking about the part where he's talking about like the bro code that he has with his best friend, where he's like, "Man, I'm really freaking hungry," and like that's like their go-to word when they need to shut their mouths because their wives are around, and that was pretty funny. I like that whole comedy bit. I thought that was really funny. And while the stand-up comedy special stuff is pretty good, it's not the greatest stand-up stuff or stand-up I've ever seen, but it's pretty good, and it's cool to see like a guy like him sell out Madison Square Garden. Like his speech at the end is really cool and really generally touching, because the guy, if you look up more about him, he grew up in New York, and it's probably was a big deal for him to headline Madison Square Garden. Like he says, not many stand-up comics get to do that, and that's a pretty big deal for somebody like him to sell out Madison Square Garden. I believe he sold it out. I'm pretty sure he did. But anyways, yeah, like I said, like stuff like that was really good. I like the stand-up special, and also, like I said, the stuff at the end where he's talking about how big of a deal it was to him to headline Madison Square Garden. I thought that was a really touching, kind of genuinely touching moment. Where this movie did lose me, though, was the first 10 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna stand watching the rest of this movie. I had to actually turn the movie off after the first 10 minutes. First 10 minutes basically are not the stand-up portion of the movie. The first 10 minutes consist of this whole skit that's supposedly real life, even because this is supposed to be a documentary, where Kevin Harts at a mixer after a stand-up comedy special event, and all his buddies are basically giving him a hard time about different things that are going on with him in his life, about him getting a divorce, or him. I'm quoting people. I'm quoting the people in this movie here. Him not fucking any more dark-skinned bitches. No, I'm not joking. Or him being a local ass bitch. It's just like lines like a dialogue like that. I was like, Jesus Christ, when will this end? I was like, is this the rest of the movie? Because if it is, I'm in trouble. I could not stand the first 10 minutes of this movie. Even though I like Kevin Hart, it was really annoying and really obnoxious. As like, man, I don't know how much more of this I could stand. If this is what this whole movie's gonna be like, I'm in trouble. Like, it's just like stupid stuff like the local ass bitch line. Like, what the hell? I mean, like they call him a local ass bitch even though because local ass bitch, I feel like I have to explain this, is basically it's an insult about him basically only being known in America, and that he never made it because he never got to travel the world and sell out like across Europe and all that stuff like that. But then later, 10 minutes or 2 minutes later, it shows him selling out arena after arena after arena in Canada, France, London, stuff like that. And you're like, well, that was just that makes that whole freaking part at the beginning really freaking pointless. Like, these people know him. Like, we're supposed to believe these people know him, so they wouldn't know that he's sold out every freaking arena out there. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a sketch, like a little bit, but it still fucking makes it stupid, even more stupid. Like, I mean, it is really cool to see him sell out all those places in Europe and stuff like that. And here's my problem with, and I realized after I watched it, like, why I had such a problem with that first 10 minutes. You know what they could have put in that first 10 minutes instead of that bullshit? Was like, kind of like a, what they, like, I guess would be the best thing that they put. It was like a, kind of like a history of Kevin Hart. Like, for people that are not really, like, big fans of him and don't know much about him, or are kind of getting new to him, it would kind of be nice to, like, kind of show, like, how he got to this point where he got to Madison Square Garden, like, from, like, the history of him, growing up in the comedy ranks and stuff like that. And I think that would have been better, put in the first 10 minutes and put that bullshit. I mean, it's a freaking documentary, for God's sakes. It's supposed to be a documentary overall, which I thought it was supposed to be, I guess, and maybe it's not. But that would have been more interesting, show his history of, like, how he got to this point. Favorite part about this movie is that one of the dumbest parts about this movie is is like one of the lines in the mixer part where was like he was talking about, oh, he's getting all Hollywood because he was a star, he was a big star in Soul Plane. I went, they just literally say he's become too Hollywood because he freaking started Soul Plane. I thought that was, I didn't take, like, offense to that because I'm like, really? Soul Plane? Really? But then I thought, well, this is probably just played for a joke. But then it cuts to, like, 2 minutes later, like, fans outside of, like, London and Canada and all stuff like that talking about how much they love Kevin Hart. And one guy literally says, he said, I loved him in freaking Soul Plane. He stole that movie. I'm like, Kevin Hart was really in Soul Plane? I barely fucking remember Soul Plane. Who the fuck remember Soul Plane in the first place? I mean, tell me, literally. I've seen that movie once, and the only thing I remember from that movie was Snoop Dogg was the pilot. That was it. That's all I freaking remember from that movie. I remember that movie not being very good. I don't even remember Kevin Hart being in that movie, but apparently he is because he was so good in that. Really? Fucking Soul Plane, when that is your claim to fame, that's pretty sad. I think the guy's done a lot more than that. Hell, he was fucking in This Is the End. Wasn't he in freaking 4-Year-Old Virgin too? Stuff like that. Like, and that's the thing you choose? Soul Plane? Really? I'm sure he's done more than that. Better movies than that. I can't remember all the movies he's been in, but I'm sure he's been in a hell lot more than that. Freaking Soul Plane. Really? It's like the stupidest thing. Like, they got some of the dumbest people ever to like make some comments like, really, Soul Plane. But I mean, yeah, if you can get for the first 10 minutes or so, the movie gets better, because then from there on it's all the stand-up comedy special in New York City, and a lot of it's very funny, and some of it's not. I don't think it's the funniest stand-up I've ever seen. Like I said, I know I'm just kind of repeating myself, but I can recommend. I honestly, for the stand-up stuff and that alone, I kind of recommend this movie. I recommend watching it. It's not that bad. It's watchable. I've seen a lot worse this year, definitely. And Kevin Hart is really entertaining in his stand-up stuff, and him talking about his wife, about his relationship with his wife, and how he got divorced and all that stuff like that is really funny. And I hope to see more of him. I really enjoy him. I hope to see more of him in better stuff, but especially more better stuff than Soul Plane, for God's sake. I hope that's not only gonna be his claim to fame from this point forward. That's really stupid. I can't believe that. I'm still really freaking like really even somebody who was a watched the movie. I was talking to somebody I worked with. We were talking about the movie. This movie. Kevin Hart let me explain, and I said, what about that freaking part about when they were saying, "Oh, I loved you in Soul Plane"? Like, he's like, "Yeah, I didn't get that either. What the hell? I mean, I can't get over that. It's how stupid that is." Um, I don't know, but anyways, I don't know how much more I can talk about this movie because I keep repeating myself now. But anyways, I'll be back tomorrow with Last Vegas. It was kind of a coin flip of what I was going to go see tomorrow, but I decided on Las Vegas. So I'll be back tomorrow with that, and I'll see you guys later.